Happy Friday, everybody. We're back for real estate photography Q&A. How are you, Rob?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
We started out like we are pros this time or something.
I know, right?
All
It's
right.
been a little while. We've had a little bit of a break, so I think that re-energized us and got us a little bit more focused here, which is good.
Totally. Life has been up and down like for everybody, I guess. It seems like for a lot of photographers, things are improving a lot, is my impression. From the people that say, hey, I'm shooting 16 houses today or something like that. When we were getting the gang back together to do this. And
Yeah, no,
I saw some comments about everybody's just working really hard and everything. And so, yeah,
it's not a bad thing. No, we're going gangbusters right now as well, and for us, it's ultra busy right now because we've got two other things that happen. Number one, in Alberta, Canada, they just changed the entire MLS system. So there's a new
oh no,
system called Pillar 9 that came into play. And so they're saying that photos are supposed to be 1920 by 1080. So if
that's
you
a
know what
big
those
change. That's a big change.
that is, so if you know what that means it is like cinematic HD. So it's like when we were growing up, when we had those old CRT TVs, the tube TVs, and then you watch a movie on it and you get the top and bottom cropped right off, right?
Yep, yep.
That's the look. And so I've been talking with these guys saying, hey, you guys can't be serious. You're not going to do a 16:9 for real estate photography. That's ridiculous. And they've been so busy with just this changeover that they haven't had a chance to respond. I've been talking to a couple of their beta testers and working with what the actual system looks like. And now it looks like they're using, it's not a 5x7. It's a 1.41 by 1. And it's a really weird size. So we're trying to figure out what the heck they want to do. And once we've got it, thankfully, our back end is pretty robust here. So with one touch of a button, we can resize all the photos that we've done in 2020 and have it out to our clients within minutes. We just need to find out what the sizes are. And so that's been our big thing.
It kind of sounds like for most photographers that have done any post-processing at all, it's going to be an easy change. It's more just getting the information, right? Because
It is.
we all certainly shoot every camera these days is high resolution. And I always think of MLS as being extremely low. So I think they're way behind the times of just updating now. But, I suspect that the 1980 is relatively large. 1920, whatever it was, is pretty large. And I suspect that that's what they're going to ask for. And they're going to probably have some background processing to resize it dynamically for different uses. And they're going to be able to have like motion so they can pan across the images and stuff like that. I think that's probably what they're going to go for, but it'll be interesting to see.
Oh,
And
definitely.
did you say Alberta?
Yes. So the entire province has, so all the boards got together and they said, screw having all these different programs that we're all using to access realtor.ca. Let's make one. And they got together and they made a company called Pillar 9. And, last week was the first I heard about it, so I don't really know much about them. But it seems pretty cool. They seem to be conglomerating everything, making it a lot more powerful, putting a lot more options into it. So marketing up here is going to be interesting. They're going to make it a whole lot more
I guess that's going to be the beginning. I bet that'll be the beginning of a trend. It'll probably be one of the early ones, and this is going to be something that's going to. I'm surprised that it hasn't happened until now, and I think that now that somebody's done it, even though it's Canada and Alberta, because I have to get my digs in on Canada. Yeah, I bet it's going to really go through the world pretty quickly.
Well, the nice thing with this is that it's once one place does it, then it's easy to amalgamate another place, and they just keep on growing like a virus.
I think that those kinds of things
Sorry,
are right.
too soon.
I was thinking of the word amalgamate. Is that really right? Okay, so let's just say hello real quick. I think we have a few people watching, including Bob, who doesn't seem like he's very interested.
Nice.
Thanks, Bob. Although we have one question come in. We had a couple of questions come in ahead of time as well, and I brought a couple with me. But let's real quick introduce Rob Moroto from Calgary Photos. I see you already have your calgaryphotos.ca up there, and I know you can also find Rob at robmoroto.com. Rob has a real estate photography company up there, and is if you've seen any of our streams before, listen to this guy. He comes up with gold ideas and suggestions and processes and stuff. And I have at least one question that I think will be probably bring a couple of those ideas out today. My name is Ron Pepper. I'm with Photomatics. The team do a lot of things there, including helping photographer questions when they come in to us. And in general, I mean, I'm a photographer here in the San Francisco Bay Area also. So a couple of guys that know some stuff. We don't know everything, but we want to share what we do know. And you can join a Facebook group, Photomatics HDR. And lastly, let's see, the quarantine might be ending here. Yay. or not. It just depends on, I don't know, the way the wind blows. Depends on a lot of stuff. And
it seems like it's going to be a little bit of a recess that we get to take before we go back into it again.
Maybe. And I probably wouldn't even bring it up now because we're not here to talk about that. But when we started doing it, it was part of a larger thing. And one thing that HDR Soft, who's the maker of Photomatics, what they wanted to do is offer something helpful. So if you go to hdrsoft.com, you don't have to go to this long link I'm putting up here, but there's one of those banner links, kind of the standard what's happening during COVID-19, and you can get resources for, initially it was like, hey, we all need something to do while we're staying in. So if you want to learn about HDR, go there. There's a lot of helpful information to get you started, as well as a free license for the Photomatics Essentials application, which is kind of the one for people that are new to HDR. Okay, so having said all that, if there's something I forgot, I'll chime it in later. But glad you're here. We have a few people watching. It's great. I see a couple of comments come in, so let's just jump into it. So Bob Barnes is happy.
Sorry,
good.
Bob. I tend to ramble on.
Yeah, good. Lola Casanova. I hope that's her real name. That's awesome. I saw that she had posted some questions ahead of time. So you don't have to repost because I have put them in here. Let's start with that because you were the first one to come in. So this will be hey, we're going to have to put a time limit on it because we could talk all day.
Do we choose a work?
Yeah, what do photographers need in their portfolios to get into this part of the industry? I think we're talking about real estate photography. So if you're a photographer and you want to get into real estate photography, what we need for portfolios, do we choose work, do we choose the work or are we chosen?
Yes.
So anyway, the best part of the question is, how does the conversation begin? There you go.
Perfect.
Do you want to run with that, Rob?
Yeah, sure. So with this one here, Lola, the big thing for us is when I was starting out, I had to ask myself, what do I want to shoot? And you got to understand that, everyone wants to shoot those $1 million houses, but there's a lot more pressure doing that. And then again, there's also, there's a need for shooting some of the really smaller stuff, some of the ugly stuff. The thing is, where do you want to be? Where do you feel comfortable? And what I started to find was that I was most comfortable shooting just average homes, nothing extravagant. I found that the larger the home, the bigger the home, the more stress it was, the higher the expectations were. And so when I was starting out, I found those really stressful. So instead, what I did was I just walk around my neighborhood and walk into an open house. And at the very beginning, I'd walk into an open house and say, hey, this is a great looking place. I like to shoot real estate. If you got a place that I could practice in, here's my card. And yes, you can get cards from Vistaprint very easily. The other thing is, if you have builders in your neighborhood that have show homes, contact them and say, hey, you know what? I'm an aspiring photographer. I need practice. Do you mind if I shoot your show home? If I get anything good, you're more than welcome to it. And you can use it for Instagram. And they're more than happy to help you out with that. So essentially, if you want something for a portfolio, the thing is, you go in, you tell them what you're doing. You don't say, hey, I'm going to give you free photos. You just say, if I get anything good, you can use them. And what happens is
Where,
you
where are
will,
where are you, Lola? If you put in the comments, where are you?
yeah. Oh,
Oh,
exactly.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Rob. Anyone watching can join us, can pop on here, video, audio, and everything, and I'll put the link in the comments. So if you want to join us on here, you can do that. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, exactly. Now here's a trick though, Lola. When you do that with a builder or with a realtor, and you say, "Yeah, if I get anything good, I'll send it to you." Yes, definitely send them something. Send them one or two pictures of the kitchen, maybe one of the living room.
Build the
But
relationship.
yes, but not everything. Okay, don't give them an entire package so they don't have to buy from you anymore. So if they say, "Oh man, you know what? I really like these kitchen shots. Did you get into the living room?" It's like, no, 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 I didn't. But you're more than welcome to use the kitchen ones.
San Francisco.
Oh, okay, great.
All
You're
right,
going to be
Lola.
competing with Ron. All
This is a
right.
competition. This is a competition. You ready? This is a competition. She said SF, San Francisco, born and raised.
Nice.
I'm San Francisco. I call it my second life. Like my adult life started in San Francisco after college graduation. So my whole adult life, San Francisco. Now I'm in the East Bay, Lola. So let's have a little competition going on. And I even, I'm in the process actually of building up, because real estate work that I've done is so long ago that I feel like it's old in a few different ways. And my abilities, of course, I look at them now and I go, oh, I could have done so much better. The style of the places, a lot of things about it. I feel like I need an updated portfolio, and I've had some. So what I've been using the portfolio so far is the few kind of modern things that I've done over any recent times, and so I want to build that up too. So I'm thinking about the same, as I want to just go out and create some. And there are a couple of really great builder spots right around me. I'm in the East Bay, so we're not direct competition, but we can come back to that a little bit. But as far as would you say, Rob, part of a portfolio is only show your best, but you also want to show a bit of a variety. So can the variety simply cover like a couple of different styles? First of all, the variety of the different types of shots in any given house. You want to cover a standard living room / great room, bedroom, kitchens are really important. Yeah. Exteriors. How many would you say, like how many would you think would make a decent portfolio? Like if you have like 3 houses worth of solid shots, you don't need to show a ton, I guess is my point. But where do you think that should be?
I always look at it and say you have to have, I like to stick with around a dozen to 20 as a general. And here's the reason why. You're never going to be judged on your best work. You're going to be judged on your worst. So if you put more photos on, the more likelihood that somebody's going to nitpick and say, "Ooh, you should have done this one differently." And so instead of having that, just make sure that you have a solid 10 to 20.
And I would also add that you could be judged. One reason I think, 10 to 20 properties or shots?
Shots.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. That falls more with what I was thinking. That's too many if you're doing properties. I think you'd be also judged on the body of work more than any one best or worst. So keep those in mind. I'm keeping them in mind too. Lola,
if you go into my website, you'll see that I completely break my own rule, and I think I got like 50 on there. But that was because we were also doing this channel, and I wanted to have a place that I could go to where I could pull a whole bunch of photos and say, like this one. And
get ready to do that. Okay,
so
I know you got it.
Let's see now.
She had another question.
Oh my God, we've got a lot here.
Yeah, Lola, I know you had another question too that we'll circle back to, but I want to kind of get everybody to be a part of this because that's what makes it fun for everybody, right? Portfolio, but still the follow-up, just houses or other things to show skills. Rob, that's for you. Perfect. Go.
Okay, so with this one here, I always say you have to. How do I put this? Whatever you put out there will show who you are and what you can do and what you want to do. So if you show all houses, then likely people are going to see it and they're going to say, "Oh, this person's really good at houses. They specialize in houses. Therefore, I should get them to shoot my house." If you put it all over the place, it's almost like the difference between going to like a general practitioner, doctor, or going to a specialist. Who do you want to have shooting? you want to have a specialist shooting your wedding. You want to have a specialist shooting your retail stuff. You want to have a specialist shooting your real estate. And so what a lot of photographers are doing now is they have multiple sites, and they have one for their architectural, then they have one for their wedding, then they have one for their general commercial where they're shooting product. And that works out really, really well. And so I did the same thing for a long time, where I had Calgary Photos, which was our real estate side, and I have a bunch of guys that work with me shooting real estate. And then on the other side, I used to have my Rob Moroto website, which was geared more for the commercial work, which is like shooting baby heartbeat monitors and other boring things with a white background. And essentially it's like, oh, great, I'm the guy that's shooting for Amazon now. Fantastic. So I changed it so that now I'm putting on more of my higher end stuff onto my website. But as well, I had a friend of mine, John Sharp, who always said, when people are hiring, they're not hiring a business. They're hiring a person. They're hiring somebody with a personality. So show them your personality. And for example, show them the personal stuff. And so always have some personal work section so people can go see your personal work. And that'll show that you are an artist. And I thought that was always a good idea. So I put that up there. You see it there with where it says personal. But I really haven't put much on there. These are just like vacation shots.
It's funny. My question would be, I was for so long, I was such an extreme specialist, trying to share another screen while talking. It's not as easy as I thought. I was such an extreme specialist, specializing in 360 virtual tour type work. And, so these kind of where you can walk through space, house, of course, or a hotel. Hotels make better samples. But over time, I thought it wasn't so specialized in that. So I wanted to also make a little more of a general site. So yes, I'm following kind of what Rob has done in a little bit of a different way. But I guess to get back to the portfolio thing is, what do you want to heavily specialize, or do you want to be someone like me that you sell one thing, you say I'm really good at that, but then when you're asked to do other things, we're hopefully ready to do that. You can go a couple different ways. So let's keep going here.
Let's jump back to Audrey's comment. I think she was the first live comment there.
Yep, that's where I was going. The first one in. Well, besides Lola came in before the show, but.
Yeah.
Hey, gentlemen, strange question. Is there a way I can shoot, upload to iPad, and have Photomatics merge on my iPad while I'm on the road? Not yet. iPad app, iPad. I have this funny relationship with iPads. They're so cool, and I love it, but why does someone want to do processing on a screen that makes everything look so good? Because then when you show it on a screen that isn't great, then it won't look so good. But I think I know what she's getting at, is you want to have it kind of processing and combining images. I know a lot of people carry a laptop to do that if you have the power.
Exactly. Function. So what we do is exactly that. We so with my team, my junior photographers have the MacBook Pro 13-inch. And my senior ones have the MacBook Pro 16-inch. And what we do is, as soon as we're done a shoot, we transfer all the files straight onto onto our laptop, start the processing right there, drive to the next shoot. And by the time we're at the next shoot, it's half processed, which is great. So that we keep on doing that. We've got a backup on our computer so that even if something happens on the SD card from one shoot to another, we know that we've got a backup on our computers. And the other thing is, I've had guys do this where they go to a shoot and they automatically reformat their cards.
That's one of your backups. Keep that on there, even for a few days. They're cheap now, relatively speaking. They're cheap. I keep cards. I've got cards on the thing from recent shoots that's just sitting there as backups until I have my offsite backup done. So use those as a backup. Hey, Audrey, if there's a FAQ even on the page, but support@hdrsoft.com, write in and say how you would want to use the iPad app, because there's one in plan or development. Actually, I don't know what stage it's on in at the moment, but the FAQ even says it to let us know what you'd like out of it, how you'd want to use it. And actually, I would love to hear how you would want to use it, because I don't get it. The latest iPads have like a SD reader or anything like that? Because just getting things on and off an iPad to me is, I don't know. I don't really get it, but I don't want to bag on it because I do love using them for other uses. But for processing, I need an actual computer with a calibrated monitor and everything. So anyway, that's my few cents. Let's.
Right. Let's see now.
I'm just looking
Haley,
through.
do you use Adobe Lightroom to edit photos? Yes. Any tips on preset settings?
Oh boy.
Honestly, Haley, we do a whole lot in Lightroom, and the biggest things that we find is that everybody wants to get rid of all the yellows and stuff. And so the only thing that I say, if you're just doing HDR, then one of the presets that we do is we go into hue, saturation, luminance. We shift the luminance of the yellows and oranges and push those up. And then we take the saturation down for yellows and oranges just a little. And that'll get rid of all that orange cast that you get from mixed lighting. Aside from that, the other thing that we do is the curves preset. And right now, when you open up curves, it's very linear, it's very straight. And so what we do is we just pick that right in the middle and just pull it up slightly so you have this little bit of a bow in that curve. And what you'll find is that will make all of your photos just a little punchier, but a little bit brighter at the same time. So those are the two things that we would recommend for any preset that you use in Lightroom.
You like those, just a little bit of a bulbous curve rather than the S curve? The S curve is the most popular, I think.
Yeah, I like bulbous.
Is that the right term?
I don't know. Parabolic or whatever.
I get this every time, Chris. I try. I think it's mostly my voice. The gain's all the way up, but let me know. I get this every time. I really want to get better at.
I wonder, is it you or is it me?
Oh, usually it's me. I was just assuming, but Chris, let us know if you can. Can you share me some ideas about wide-angle real estate indoor shots? Where should we start?
Yes.
I mean, the common question is, what focal length do I need? And to me, my 14 is occasionally not wide enough. Occasionally. Now, being mostly I was in the city where spaces are small. That's where you usually need the widest one. Now that I'm in the suburbs, it's a lot less of an issue. But yeah, something between that 14 to 16 as the widest. What do you think, Rob? I think those are pretty popular ones.
Well, so let me share my screen here. There we go. I'm going to share this tab. And let's see if you can see that there. So with me, we tend to carry around a 16 to 35 as our standard for our builder stuff. And then we carry around a 12 to 24 for more of our realtor stuff, because we really don't know how small places are going to be. And this one here is shot using probably around a 14 millimeter. It's a tight space. And to get everything in, to make it look spacious, because this is a show home for a builder, and just to let you know, this was actually shot inside of a trailer. There's no view outside. There's no trees. There's no sky. There's nothing. It's just a trailer.
Oh yeah, I think you've shown us this home before, right? Because sorry.
So with this here, I would say that we shot around a 14, but I like having the 12 to if you're shooting Canon, Canon has an 11 to 24, and then a 24-105, and then a 100 to 400. If you have that, you've got an entire range. There's nothing that you can't shoot with that range.
That's the holy trinity on Canon.
Yeah, I still like the 16 to 35, because most of my shots, they fall in between the 21 to 28 range. And so that 11 to 24 and 24-105, what I find is that I am switching between my two lenses a lot, because I need to get between that 21 to 28 range. So the 16 to 35 is my workhorse, but I find that I need that 12 every once in a while. And I think I may have let's see if I've got an image of something that I've done with the 12. Yes, that's done with the 12 mil.
And Canon has that great 10 to 20 as well, but is that a crop
That's
sensor?
on a crop sensor.
It's a crop. But when it's when it is on a crop, because a lot of people are using a crop sensor camera, APS-C.
The APS-C. So the 10 becomes a 16.
Does it though? I think.
Yeah, it's 1.6.
I think that one was popular prior to full frame cameras, and I know a lot of people were using it. And I think maybe you're right. I don't quite recall, but check it out if you're a Canon user, because it's a good lens in any case. Really good lens.
Yeah.
In fact, Chris, which lenses do you have on you at high-end houses? I think that's what Rob mentioned, something. And every so Rob mostly uses Canon. I mostly use Nikon and Olympus. And in all three cases, there is something similar to what he said, that this is all full frame equivalent. There's something along that line of like a 12 to 14 minutes, like 1424, 2470, or 2415, and then there's a 7200. There's all that holy trinity in every one of the cases, and if you can get them, they're the best lenses. But I always like to say too, for real estate photography, because people are going to be saying, "Well, I'm getting started. What do I need?" And you don't need the three of the best lenses along the line. You really need any lenses. They don't have, because of the nature of real estate photography, where your subjects aren't moving or anything, and your aperture you don't need that wide open aperture that these come with. And with today's post-processing, you can get great results out of a mediocre lens. So don't worry about getting the fabulous ones if that's the case. I just don't want to scare anybody into that.
Yeah.
Hey, we have a friend of the show.
Oh yeah.
Juan Jose Perez from all the way from, I assume you're home. Oh yeah, you have to be right now, don't you?
Hey, what's up, guys?
All the way from Ecuador. Yeah. So now we have 3 countries represented here.
And nice to see you, Rob and Ron.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Thanks for joining in.
I've been talking about a lot of important stuff right now.
What's that?
I can see that you have been talking about a lot of important stuff right now. Sorry for being late.
Real estate photography is very important.
It is, of course.
I mean, it's actually kind of booming right now, and the expectations are going up, and the need for like the virtual tour versus some simple photos, that's all gone up. And Rob brought up when we started here that the Alberta MLS now has new size requirements for the photos. I mean, everything's amping up in real estate photography.
Yeah.
I think maybe a lot of people are getting into it too.
So have you talked about the recent release of Canon, like the R5?
Oh, the R5 and the R6.
Have you been talking about that?
No, because that's a whole separate thing, man.
I'm late. I'm just because I think it's an important thing to talk about.
Let's pop on. Let's pop on and just talk about that soon. Yeah. We can do it.
Okay.
Because
whenever you want, guys.
Whenever we do these, it's been the 3 of us sometimes, and Rob and I are pretty much always here. We usually end up going like an hour and 45 minutes, which is already too long. So let's not get into the awesome new cameras, No,
but definitely, I've got one pre-ordered right now. So as soon as it comes in, I'll let you know.
Well, that's probably when we should do a talk about it, right?
Yeah. So let's get back to Chris. He had a really interesting thing here. He says, which lenses do you have in higher end homes? But it's the second part that I like. How often do you swap lenses mid-shoot? Okay, so now here's the thing. Like I was saying, we have, like when I use a 12 to 24, 105, I'm constantly changing the lenses. And what I find is that if you do that, you get dust on your sensor, and it's horrible. And so to avoid that, so for the higher end homes, I like to keep my 16 to 35 on, and I can pretty much do any house, except of course for detail shots and close-ups of little vignettes and stuff. But we do those at the end. So we would do the 16 to 35, get all the rooms, get the exteriors, and then go back in, change to the 24-105, and then shoot all the vignettes, shoot all the little details, and shoot all the stuff that the designers want us to shoot.
Do you guys ever carry 2 bodies, 2 cameras? Just you don't have to change the lenses, or?
No, I've got an extra body in the car.
I like to use two bodies just in case. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I have done that sometimes, and because really you should have a backup in the car, like Rob anyway. So why not use two bodies if you do have the worst happens, and your backup is now you're just changing the lenses, and I just think that's a good way to go, especially if you're not using big full frame cameras like the micro four thirds shooters and stuff. You have a couple of bodies is really easy
Yeah,
on the body.
the main body is it's a full frame, and the second body is it's a medium format. No, I'm
Yeah.
just
No, well, that would be Rob.
Strangely enough, that is my
Yeah.
my backup camera is my Fuji GF X 50R.
Oh, man.
So
So let's have a camera gear talk here pretty soon, because I am in the market, by the way, for I haven't pulled the trigger on one because there's so many awesome options. I can't make up my mind.
well,
what
now
to
with
do.
the R5 out, damn, that's gonna be nice.
I'm-
I'm surprised I was surprised it was only a 45 megapixel sensor though.
yeah. I'm surprised too.
only
Right? Like my
With that.
5DSR is
And
50.6.
you know what? It's not just the resolution, which is of course important. What it's
No,
not
it's not.
good for me is the dynamic range. Just
Yeah.
12 EV.
guys. Well,
I mean-
we're gonna get into something a little bit technical here, but when I say I'm going to say, and I'll tell you why. Resolution not important.
No, no.
I mean, the reason is that, well, now maybe in Alberta, but nobody cares about the resolution for MLS for real estate photography. But anyway, every camera for the last 15 years, or at least 10, takes more than enough resolution. So when you get to a lot of pixels packed on a sensor, so whatever size the sensor is, the more packed the pixels are, you start to lose out as well. And dynamic range is one of the places. Noise is another one of the places. So frankly, my D700 from a long time ago, in a lot of situations, does a better job than my D800, which is packed with pixels.
You're right.
So,
But-
now, on the other hand, having all that enormous size amount of pixels means that when you do have the noise that comes from that, you can downsize and kind of get rid of it too. So there are all these things. So anyway, when we're talking about real estate photography, I'm kind of really talking to people that are getting started, because we always get the questions about what do I need to get started. The high number of pixels, not an important thing. And until you get into things and realize your need for the high amount of pixels, then make the choice based on what you need. I do a lot of 360s. I wanted to take less images around and still have whatever the resolution number of pixels I wanted. So now that's when I got, a long time ago, I got the D800 only. Now there's an 850, but at the time that was a lot of pixels. And I needed that because I could do more work more quickly, less shots, just as good or better results. But that's not the same for everybody. So getting those that's why those medium format ones can be better. So but around the same, say, 50 megapixel number,
I know
you're spreading out
I know you're totally in love with medium format cameras because of the dynamic range. I already know.
Yeah,
You're right.
because it spaces out the pixels a bit, gives them room to breathe, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, I was going to get technical, but I'm not that technical. So I just know that. I just know.
We
what
both
works.
were impressed about the Fuji camera that Ralph showed us.
Made
about
us
the-
fall. Yeah. Just turned us on. Yeah.
And he's not talking about the resolution itself, as you mentioned, but it's the dynamic range. That's a huge thing.
And not only that, like I just got the XT4, and that thing is fantastic. It's got the in-body image stabilization, and then I got the 100 to 400. And I sent Ron a picture of a image that I shot at 400 mil at 1/5 of a second, and it's tack sharp. Like,
Yeah.
You can't do that. But anyways,
So are you suggesting to do real estate photography without a tripod?
That's basically what is happening with the R5 and R6.
you can do it.
Awesome.
You're gonna do it.
All
Like
right.
Now, I want to go.
depends on the lens. You can do it like 8 EV stops.
Oh yeah.
8.
I know, and at that resolution, you can pump it up to ISO 3200, and you won't even notice it on MLS. So, quite frankly, you could handheld everything. But I want to go back here where let's see now. Chris had another question here. I think this is a good one. At the very bottom there. how often do you shoot details for real estate? Okay, so
Good one. That's a good question.
yeah. So, and my answer is all the time, and because some of what we find is that some of the details are what will sell the place. And so, for example, I'm just gonna share part of my screen here. If you want to bring that, like it's a dishwasher, right? But if you look at things that differentiate, say, one condo or one apartment building to another, sometimes it's the little things like the upgraded appliances that will make the difference between one suite in the same building versus another suite.
Maybe you're in a place.
So
Maybe you're in a place that you don't assume that there's a dishwasher there.
exactly, like there's lots of reasons to shoot those, and it's you have to go at it from the perspective of who is watching this and who is wanting to buy the place and what's important to them. And so if you've ever lived in an apartment building where there's no in-suite laundry, seeing a picture of an in-suite laundry is going to make you just want to buy that house. So think about things like that. If you think about a person who is living in an old house and they want to get into something newer, a picture of a new modern tap, that might be the trigger that makes them want to go see that house. So yes, the details are important, and how well you shoot them is also going to be important, because here's the thing. When you shoot good details like this, you can talk to your realtors and say, hey, look, you know what? Here's a major kitchen shot, but use these detail shots in your brochure. This will drive the people there, because it's the details that are going to really trigger a person from going from, oh, it's a kitchen, to, oh, look, that kitchen has some really nice stuff in it.
Right? So a lot of times I see detail shots of, say, flowers on a side table. And I mean, the side table is from the stager. Also, the flower and the table is from the stager. Yeah. And it doesn't show us anything about the house. I mean, they can be very nice photos. So is there value in just having just nice photos in a set that don't really show?
In my case, for example, in Latin America, it's kind of different. I mean, they pay you for specific number of shots. You want to show what is the property about with those specific number of shots. And if you want to add some extra photos, like in details, you can do it. But you can do both ways. You can just add some text to the information that the potential customer is watching. Instead of showing pictures, you can just add texts, right? Mm-hmm. But if you want to show some specific things that are really different from other markets, like domotics, electronics, some touch screens, things like that, you can add some specific close-ups of that. But if you would just want to add some like details of obvious things that you can describe just in text, not necessarily you have to take pictures of that.
Yeah, those are truly features of the house.
I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. It's like if you really want to do some close-ups, talking about some specific like high-end details, okay, but it's something obvious, you can just resolve that in text. Mm-hmm. That's what is happening here.
And that becomes part of a slideshow, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, you can show whatever is happening in the property, right? If you want to show that there is something that you want to highlight, you can do it either in text or in photos, right?
Yeah.
But here in this market, you don't want to lose, or you don't want to be redundant with some specific details showing some things that are already obvious. It's better to just explain that in text. But if you want to show some close-ups, it's better to do it when you are really showing something spectacular, like domotics, electronics, automatic things.
Yeah. So interesting. Like up here, one of the other things that we do is we take these very, how do I put them? They're more lifestyle shots where it's like a a straight on shot where you have a chair and then you have like half of the fireplace. And we'll take a shot like that and we'll give it to the realtor. And the reason is it's not to sell the home. It's for the realtor to put something up onto Instagram. And they want to have like really cool shots of just, it's almost interior design that they want to show, because they want to show all the things that they're doing with houses, and they want to show how great their listings look from a design perspective. So we get a lot of that. And Lola got another question for us here.
Actually, I was going to go next to. I'm not going to try to say your name.
Okay.
I'm having trouble with highlights while having shots of washroom with artificial lighting against natural lights. Yes.
Gotcha.
So the lights are, so the natural light, the man-made lights are in front of the windows, basically. Is that what you understand?
Yeah. So what I'm hearing here is that you have highlights shot in the washroom with artificial lighting against natural lights. Okay. So of course, if you have problems with the highlights, Photomatics and HDR are the best way to get rid of overblown highlights. Definitely. If you're having,
I can do a quick tangent. I planned on starting with it, but we had questions right off the bat. But this falls into it because Rob is going to have great ideas about suggestions about the color of the light. But let me talk about the luminance really quickly, just because I have something kind of queued up. Is mainly to when you're shooting. The most common question, I think, overall, as somebody who gets questions with HDR about Photomatics, and no matter if I'm talking about it or people emailing in, whatever, how many shots do I need to take? And the answer is the classic, it depends, but at least it depends on something I can describe. And that's, you've got to take the number of shots required to cover the dynamic range. So, and I'm not saying, I said I wouldn't try, but I will. Acious. If you're, I'm not saying you're doing this, but anyone, if people take 3 shots, and they always describe it as one correctly exposed, one over, and one under. Well, forget that. That doesn't apply here. The concept of correctly exposed is covering the range. So I didn't have a bathroom queued up here, but I've got.
But you know what is happening with that question, and that calls my attention all the time. Of course, you have to cover what is happening in terms of the dynamic range of contrast of the scene. But you can take 3, you can take 5, you can take 9, but it depends how many EV apart you're taking.
Yep.
The thing is that at the end, if you take, like, for example, three exposures, right? How many EVs apart are those? 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yep. That's right.
So at the end, what is happening is that if you take less exposures, but with less space between every exposure, the final result in terms of color, and not just talking about the dynamic range, but the final color result, right? So have you tried, like, taking like 3 exposures but with just 2 EVs apart? And the other example could be like taking 3 but with 3 EVs apart instead of 2. Have you noticed what is the difference in terms of color and gradients? And
me, yes.
Yeah, and that's interesting to understand, because it's not just the number of exposures and how you cover the dynamic range, but it's what is the final result you want to get, depending on how many EVs apart you take those 3 or 5 exposures.
Yeah, indeed. And in the end, it's always going to come down to trying it and seeing what you like the best. Always going to come down to that, because there are so many factors and there are so many cameras. And I know that working with a software company, I know that the smart engineers say don't go more than 2 EV spacing to cover the dynamic range.
Right. Don't go more than 2 EVs.
So that's
the best result is at maximum that.
Yeah, that's the general rule.
But I have tried with just one EV and taking, instead of 3, taking 5.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that the result, and I'm pretty sure that you know this, you know that the final result is with the color gradients and everything is better.
I agree. I have a camera that it only goes to one EV spacing, so I take almost always
So
5, 7, or
if
9.
you say how many exposures, because you want to capture the whole dynamic range, you can do it with 3. But what is the final result in terms of color and gradients that you want to get?
Well, there are factors, and that again we could. I would. That's something. If one person was specifically asking me, and I had their camera right there, and I could use it, and I might be able to really give them direct advice. But right now, the general rule is don't go more than 2. But then the cameras are getting so much better in terms of dynamic range. I don't know. I'm not telling anyone to do more, but I don't know. Maybe it can. And Rob's sitting there laughing like I bet he does it already. But let me just you guys definitely go with yours. But let me let them know that, like in this case, I metered the sky, and then I metered that I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but that guitar in the corner, the last one is the result. But I metered it and then shot the whole range, and I used 9 shots at 1 spacing. So there's your answer there. The highlighted ones there, I don't know if I can do that on this screen. The highlighted ones there represent like, it won't work that way. What would, if I took every other one, like the highlighted ones, that would be the same as taking 2 EV and taking 5 shots. So Juan Jose's right. I feel like when I shoot 9, I shoot 1 EV spacing, that I feel like the result is better, but it's very subjective. And it also, now you have to decide, do you want to spend the time and the space on your cards?
Yes,
and
the workflow model thing.
Hey Ron, how about this? Just as a supplement for the viewers here, how about can you take that shot? You've got the 9 EV one, or 9 shot one there. If you process it as a 7, a 5, and then a 3, and then take all those, make them into JPEGs, and just throw them up and say, guess which one's which? Let's see if people can actually check.
Yeah.
Let's put a poll out there, because if they can't, and all of a sudden, there's confusion.
If you see the final result, probably you will not notice what is best one. But if you compare, you will notice.
Yes, and that's what I want to show. But even when you compare, a lot of people will not know the difference. See the difference between the 5 and the 9.
I want to also point out that this is real estate photography. It has a short life usually. It used to be like 480 by 360 shown on MLS until Alberta now. But keep in mind that you're going to fill up cards, you're going to fill up drives. Like I really recommend going raw to TIFF and going a TIFF workflow until the final result, because when you get those ugly color grades, a lot of times that's not because of the way you shot it or anything. It's because at every step of the way you're saving as a JPEG and it's getting compressed every time. So anyway, you're using a lot of file space too, and that does add up. Even though that stuff's all coming down in price, it does add up. So those are part of those decisions. You have to balance what you want to do. It takes a little more time on set, so to speak, or it can take less time, because another trick is to overshoot the dynamic range, knowing that you're not going to use every one, but you can move through that house fast. So there are all kinds of issues there. But what I really wanted to cover is just that, how many shots should I take? Well, the answer is it depends on all of those things we've been talking about. And we have a really great tutorial. I'll put up the link here. I'll put the link in the comments. We have some really great tutorials that show overly specific ways of figuring out exactly how to shoot, knowing that you're going to find your own ways to.
And Ron, one of the things that I have noticed lately, not lately, but the last 5 years or so, is that okay, if you have one camera that can capture with a huge dynamic range something, like the medium format that Rob's usually use, right? Okay, that's cool. You can recover all the highlights, you can recover all the shadows, and you can do all your tricks that you want. But if you have the same situation, taking just like 2 pictures, or even 3 or more if you want, it's interesting that doesn't matter if you can recover everything in what just single picture. It's better to do it, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just a subjective way of thinking, but it's better to do it at least with 2, because the final result using a software like Photomatics gives you more control, and the final result is more pleasant. I mean, you can do it and recover all the details with just 1 picture, but if you do it with both, doesn't mean necessarily that you're getting more information. What I'm saying is that you get more pleasant results because you can tweak more colors and things between
Yeah.
2 than just 1. You know what I'm saying?
You cover your butt. is what
Exactly.
what you're saying.
Exactly. And the final
Yeah.
result it's better.
Yeah.
Even if you have with just 1 all the information.
Hey, you know what? I think we covered this part. Let's go back to. You're right. I don't know how to pronounce their name. Ashes at 0226 has another one where it says, thank you, gentlemen. Do you prefer merging photos in Lightroom or having wider shots? And I just want to touch on that one simply because, great question. We used to, when we were shooting, used to merge shots. And the only reason why we used to merge shots was we took a tilt shift, a 24mm tilt shift. And with the tilt shift, you can turn it, shift it in any direction that you want. And so what we do is we shift it once to the corner here, once to the corner here, once down here, and then one in the center. So we had 5 shots that we did, and we merged them together. So that 24mm shot then became like around a 17mm shot. And back then we were using a Canon 5D Mark III, which I believe was a 23 megapixel camera. And when we merged all those, we got a 50 megapixel image.
So he's talking about stitching, merging, like rotating the camera.
Yes,
usually, for most people, that's rotating the camera a little bit. But a tilt shift is that's a creative way to use it. That is it was a long time ago, but yeah,
it worked really well. But so we can still do that. However, there's no need now because we've got a 50 megapixel 5DSR and we got a 16 to 35 mil lens on there. So we just put the 16 on there and take one shot.
Or you can punch on. You can throw on your 8mm. Or I've got an 8mm fisheye, a 10.5mm fisheye, and nowadays the software just takes the the fisheye-ness right away, and man, it's amazing.
Yeah. So, do I prefer merging photos in Lightroom or having wider shots? I prefer having wider shots now, simply because the megapixel resolution in the camera is that high, and it saves time. So,
yeah.
Hey, you're back.
yeah, we lost you there for a second, man. Yeah, Chris, he's carrying a tilt shift lens and a 14-24 Sigma. Oh, those Sigma lenses are really good now, right?
The art ones are fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, they are great.
Yeah. We need to do an episode or a talk just about equipment, and it's going to be me asking questions to decide what I'm going to buy. That's the tact we can take. Hey, okay, so we're almost to an hour, and Eric says, run through some live edits, guys.
Okay.
I'm set up. I could do that one that I had up on the screen before.
Do you want to do that?
I've got my laptop has everything plugged in, so I don't have any ports left. Like I can't put in my Lightroom library or anything. So that's another thing I want to discuss another time is a new 13-inch versus a new 16-inch MacBook Pro.
Ooh.
Is it worth it? ISWI.
So a buddy of mine just bought the new 13-inch with the.
Well, no, I wasn't saying now. I wasn't saying now.
Oh well, if you're not going to buy it now, wait until.
Talk about that right now. I think.
I was saying I don't think we should talk about it right now, but we should do.
Yeah, let's do it in another show.
All right.
We can sign off. We can finish out real estate photography Q&A, and then we can come back on in like 20 minutes if you want.
Yeah. One thing that I wanted to just give these guys here as a little tip, if you can put up my screen share there. Mm-hmm. I'm not affiliated with these guys at all, but this is the sensor cleaning kit that we've been using, and it's fantastic. What it does is you can actually dab your sensor, and then you dab all the dust off onto the piece of paper.
Dabbing is so like 2 years ago.
This thing is fantastic.
I'm kidding. I'm making a sports joke. Never mind.
But seriously, this thing cleans sensors like you wouldn't believe. It's
so what is the brand? What is the brand?
Pentax.
The Pentax is the brand of this.
Yeah.
I'm ordering that today because yeah.
This thing is fantastic. We have all of our photographers carry this in their kit all the time, and it is phenomenal. Anytime we get dust, we can.
By the way, how often do you have to clean your sensor in your Fuji?
On my Fuji, I would say once every 7 shoots.
Okay. What about you, Juan?
My Canon, I would do every 3rd shoot.
I do about every 3rd year.
In my 5D Mark IV Canon, like almost never. I mean, once a year. Seriously.
Yeah.
Because it has this shaking reduction. What is the name of that?
Yeah,
that cleaner, that little cleaner.
The cleaner sensor shaker.
Can I give because I know, and we're talking about real estate photography, and I want to be nice here about. I'm not trying to be mean, but there's a lot of people. There are a lot of people who are new to photography. Yeah, and really be careful if you clean your own sensor, please. Read all instructions.
You have to know what you're doing.
Yeah, because I destroyed a shutter the night before a shoot one time when
when you pay money about your camera, what you're paying is about your sensor. So
I didn't destroy the sensor. I didn't destroy the sensor. I destroyed the curtain that opens and closes. So so when you clean a sensor, you have to have a full battery because you have to maintain that open so that you can get right at the sensor. And this is a DSLR, right? So this is not a mirrorless, but I did everything I thought. I still don't know what I did wrong because it just closed on me and it crunched down on the cleaner and it bent it up, and I had to have it replaced, which I could get it replaced for pretty reasonable repair, but I couldn't use it. I showed up at the time, the Palo Alto big store. I was there waiting for the door to open so I could buy a new D300 back then.
You sent your camera to clean your sensor. You send it.
Well, most people have one camera usually and can't really have it gone for too long. So being able to clean, you're right. Please, if you can, have a professional clean it. That's the best advice. But if you're going to do it, I'm just saying, read the instructions, follow them. Like it's one of those times that you really do it. Okay, so I think we made a big enough deal out of that. And Chris says carry a rocket blower, but I don't know. I don't like those things. Do you guys like those things?
Yeah.
Do you like those air blowers that you just blow?
You know what?
I know.
I know what I'm doing. I always use this.
Yeah.
We used to, but after we got that thing, it's just so good.
Yeah. So Rob, the one you had is it's like a little picker upper, right? It's like a sticky one.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fantastic. So definitely highly recommend that. And then Ron, if you're going to jump in and do do a live portion, I might sign out because I've got a couple of kids that I gotta go take care of here.
Okay. Well, let's in fact, let's okay. That's I can do something really quickly. We can finally limit this to right around an hour. Maybe we'll go for 15 minutes and talk about a couple of quick edits. You're right, because we usually go so long, and I was really going to try to keep it reasonable.
Yeah. Who's
going to watch us for an hour and 45 minutes anyway? We'd just do it again and do some more.
Exactly.
I mean, I have fun doing these, and anyway. Did we cover? Did anything we? Can you stay for one quick question? Hopefully, quick question, because I advertised it.
Okay.
Some ideas for things that you can do for your clients, being the real estate agent broker.
Okay. So
because you've talked about this a couple of times before. Maybe just take 2 minutes and then kick out of there.
Yes. Yeah. So for us, the biggest thing is we look at our business as and we say, what is the purpose of our business? And the purpose of our business is to help this homeowner sell a home. It's not to help a realtor. It's for the homeowner to sell their home. So what is it about a home that people will want to see, and what is it that people are going to want? And when you start looking at things like that, then you start seeing the little nuances and little things that you can do that'll go above and beyond to help your client. And some of these things are very simple. Some of these things are like, hey, you know what? This place is right next to a school. Maybe I'll get one shot of the school here. There's a playground around here, and there's a mall around the corner. Great, get those things. If they have there's some places that have these like opening patio doors that are double wide, so that when they open up, you walk out from your living room onto a big patio. Maybe the thing is to show that, open everything up and make it all wide so you can see everything, right?
Yeah, very good.
So it's all about now, what can we do more on our side to do that? Other things like that are, if you want, one thing that we did was, we know that some houses look better when they're shot at night. Some are shot during the day. So the easiest thing is just to ask the realtor or the homeowner, hey, is your house, is it nice and bright? Should we shoot it like it's a French cafe? Or should we shoot it dark, like it's really moody and more like a New York dinner scene kind of thing?
Do you find that they can make that?
You're totally right, Rob. I mean, one of the things that you have to consider all the time is listen to your clients. I mean, as photographers, we are sometimes just focused in how can we capture pictures, how can we do everything right, how can we do the best picture possible in this property. But sometimes we don't have to spend all the time thinking about that. I mean, we have to do that, but if the client is saying, we want this specific thing about this property, I mean, you have to pay attention to that. Maybe it's not the most beautiful place to take pictures of. Maybe it's not a thing that you will consider as important, but for them, is.
Oh yeah, no.
So pay attention what the client is asking for.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I've also done this where before we used to do interviews we used to do these things where it was a cool thing where we actually interviewed the homeowners about the house as part of the real estate video. And because it's very rare that people are selling houses because they hate the home. People sell houses because they grow out of them. People are moving. And a lot of people are very sentimental and they're attached to their homes, and that's why they think that their houses are worth more than they may actually be. But if you capture all these things, it works out really well. Like we used to do these interviews where we sat the homeowner down and said, "Okay, right on video." We said, "So, what made you fall in love with this house in the very beginning? Like, what made you just say, oh, this is the one?" And they tell you.
But that's really interesting what you're saying, Rob, because, for example, in advertising photography and all kind of photography or everything that is related with capturing some emotions and things, you have to understand what the customer and what is everything about. It's not about what you think is beautiful. It's what is involved and how can you transmit that in a perfect way. So it's better to do. Sometimes you can get so emotional, and that's not the idea. But sometimes you can get very technical, and that's not either the idea. So making a good average between both sides could be a good result.
It's really telling a story.
So
that's right. Telling a story, a real story.
Yeah. So it's like I was saying. So we'd ask, what made you fall in love with it? But here's the kicker. We always say, what made you fall in love with a place when you first bought it? But it's like a relationship, right? Because you can say to somebody, it's like, hey, what made you fall in love with your wife? And they'd be like, oh, I was at this party. She was the most beautiful girl in the corner in the room, so I had to go talk to her. Okay, so that's that portion. But after being married for 10 years, you're like, okay, so what made you fall in love with them more throughout the relationship? And that's the kind of thing that happens with a house too. Like after you move in, there's certain things that you really fall in love with your house. So if you can capture that in your photography, it's a whole lot easier in video, because in video, if they're like, oh, it's how the wind flows through the house when you open the front door and the back door together, and you get this nice cool breeze on the summer. Great, you can show that in video. You can dramatize that in video. You can do this whole like, oh yeah, we love sitting on the front porch and watching the sunset. You can film that on video. It's a little bit harder to capture that concept in photos, but if you know what it is, then great, you can make that. And quite frankly, I should talk to my team and see if we want to do those interview style videos again, because they were really effective in really giving the house a personality. Because a lot of the issues that I find right now with a lot of things in this world is that we're just commodifying everything, and so everything is just a product with a price. There's no personality or soul. And
fact,
so
that's what I was going to ask. That's what I was going to ask you, is the expectations with real estate photography is show up, get her done, and move on. And I would love to have, that would make that so much more of a photographer's paradise, is to be able to have that interview. And this is the Rob's gem. I made up a term, Rob's gems. So think of something better, but that's the gem of the day, I think, is that question is what made you fall in love again with the house or more? What did you discover after some time living there that you're really going to feel like you miss, and that you didn't know you're going to get? And man, what a really great, really great pin to try to recreate and try to show and try to add to your story. But my question is, how often can you get that chance to have that conversation?
That's right. One of the things that we are limited is that we're not talking about cinematography language here.
Yeah.
When you're telling a story and when you're doing some video, you can tell stories, and you can tell stories by time, and you can do progressively emotions, right? But when you're showing just a real estate photography session, you're basically doing specific things. But that's one of the things that is going really well right here in Latin America. I don't know what is happening in Canada or United States or Europe, but here in Latin America, what is happening, which is a really good product to show, is showing a thing that is actually a group of a slideshow, right? With some music and with a couple of words at the beginning, at the end, not being so cheesy. Yeah. We say that in English, cheesy, no?
Cheesy, yeah.
No, I'm not meaning cheesy. I'm meaning like just some couple of anchor words at the beginning, at the end, and some music. So it's not just you're selling your pictures, which has to be technical, perfect, and beautiful, but also telling the story. So I don't know what is happening in terms of selling in Canada or in the United States when you want to sell those kind of products. Here in Latin America, works very well. Instead of just showing the pictures, telling a little story about the pictures. But not saying a lot of things, just specific things and music. Here. How is that product working in your place?
We do it all the time, but we actually recommend our clients to do it themselves. Here, Ron, if you bring this up, Adobe has one. So anyone who has Adobe Photoshop and Lightroom thing, you can use this. It's Adobe Spark, and it's exactly
right on your phone.
Yeah, that's a really cool one.
Yeah, it's exactly what Juan Jose was talking about. Take all your photos, make a slideshow video out of it. It adds the music. It's fantastic. Great little app.
How often the clients ask you for that? I mean, you offer that because you know it's as a plus. But the customers actually ask you for that, or is more like a thing that you are offering?
Well, we offer it, and up here in Canada, we charge $75 for it, and I guess that works out to what?
They ask for it, or you offer it, or both?
We offer it at $75, and
but it's not something that all the time you hear that the people are asking for. It's more like a thing that you are offering.
We're offering it, and people are asking for it. Yeah.
As a both, okay.
Yeah. So that's one thing that works out well. And you're absolutely right. The more things that you can provide, the better. And I still like going back to the human aspect of it. Like, for example, I had one client. We were shooting their house, and I was able to talk to the seller, and I said, well, what are you going to miss about this house? And she goes, well, we're selling this house because my dad passed away and this was his house. And it's really sentimental. This is where I grew up. I said, really? Give me a tour. And so they showed me around. They're like, this was his office. This is a chair. This is there. And so, and I looked around and there's this one chair right next to the fireplace. I said, what's that? And they said, well, that was my dad's reading chair. You know, he'd sit there every night, have a scotch, and just read his book before going to bed. It's like, oh, okay, great. And so throughout the shoot, you get the shoot done, and then I made sure that I got a really nice shot of the chair with the fireplace, and I even got them to get a glass of scotch and put it on the table, right? And you take that shot and you give it to them. Why does this matter?
That's more like a lifestyle thing, which is perfect for as a plus in our work.
It is. And what it did was it made the realtor, of course, they're like, oh, well, that was really nice of you. But what it really did was it made the homeowner say, you know what, these guys care. I really appreciate the fact that they did this for my memory of my dad. And because of that, I'm going to refer the realtor. I'm going to refer the photographer. And so we've had it where the homeowner would be talking to their friends, and their friends would be, you know, saying, oh yeah, we're going to go with this realtor. It's like, well, be sure to use these guys at Calgary Photos to do the photos because they are the best.
Yeah, there you go.
Emotional thing, if you do it in the right amount, I think is the excellent thing to add to your work.
Yeah. Anytime that you can have that human connection, your business will grow.
Because otherwise you're gonna be like a robot, just taking nice, perfect exposure and color pictures, and that's it.
And completely forgettable.
You have to do something else.
Yeah, don't be. Yeah,
you're gonna do like a difference that the people, I think, will appreciate that. Depends on the market, depends on the way that you do it, but it's not something that is gonna lose credibility or something bad about you. It's just something that is gonna add something good about you.
Yeah. Well, no. So here's the thing. I used to say that if you've got a business person who's great at business but mediocre at photography, or a great photographer who's mediocre at business, the business person will have better business and make more money.
But what you're sorry.
But there's a certain part where we are in a relational world now. And so what I've been finding out and what we've been working on is the fact that if you have the person who has a better relationship with their clients will grow to be the better.
I totally agree with that. It's not just about what you know. It's not about how technical you are. It's not about how perfect you deliver your work. It's how well you relate or you behave with your clients, and the human part. That's something that a lot of people doesn't talk about.
Well, you're talking about evening that playing field a little bit. Like that good business person has great marketing and has like a really great conversion rate when people that come to their website, and they have a way of automatically scheduling and invoicing and blah blah blah, and they probably have a good business. But what he's saying is instead of doing all that, he's got other ways of getting people to sell for you, and that might even make it more even. Let alone if you can do both. I don't know. Then you're king of the hill. Hey Rob, I know you got to go. I can give you a quick out here if you want. And,
sounds good. Thank you very much.
All right, man. Thanks. See you next time. Thanks a lot,
see
Rob.
you guys next time. All right. Take care.
Right. Hey, since I promised I'd do a quick edit, I can do that. But I thought I would. I think
we talk about some important aspects of our business that usually the people don't talk about.
Yeah, I know we're giving away secrets here, and that's how it's always been the way I am, and it always seems to work out. Soraya, I love your comment. Well, she wants to know about 5D versus 80D, but I wanted to say this with Rob here. You guys are always so spot on topic wise for what I need to know. So, thank you for the comment to keep us all feeling good about doing these live streams. 5D versus 80D, those are Canons. I know about them, but I've used 5D. I guess I would want to know why you're asking, like, what about the differences? Like, one's full
Well,
frame and one,
one is full frame, the other one is not.
right?
So I did better.
One is old and cheap if you get it used, but maybe you're talking about 5D Mark, 3, 4. I don't know. Do you have anything specific about those? They both would do the job, and I feel like I like full frame because I like my wide angle lenses in real estate photography, but there are wide angle lenses for the crop sensor too. What do you think, Juan Jose? You got anything about that? Because you shoot Canon, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to do some super clean pictures without any noise, and you gotta get the best, of course, the full frame is gonna give you better results. But if you wanna do for real estate where the pictures are not super big, are just for online, uh, online. How do
MLS.
you say?
Yeah.
What?
MLS.
Yeah. It's okay. I mean, doesn't matter. I mean,
Yeah.
the sensors right now are good enough to do a perfect final result for specific areas. And in real estate, if you have a crop sensor, I mean, your exposure is good, your focus is good, your composition is good, it's gonna do the work perfectly.
To me, the only difference to me is just that with a crop sensor camera, it has that zooming effect. So how your
Oh, okay, yeah.
your 20 millimeter, your 10 millimeter becomes 16 on a Canon or whatever. So
okay, yeah.
that's the only thing to me. So if you have
you're right.
But here's my advice. Now I'm pretty sure I'm not a Canon guy, but I have used them and I've worked with a lot of people that use them. If on a crop sensor camera, the 10 to 20 lens or 10 to 22, 10 to 20, I think.
10 to 22.
10 to 22.
Yeah.
Based on the results, like I've edited their pictures and I've seen, fantastic. So
fantastic. I mean, fantastic.
But the bottom line is that either of those cameras are going to do great for you. So I wouldn't worry too much about it.
You gotta get another focal length. I mean, bigger focal length for getting that frame that you want to get. Instead of getting a 16, you gotta get like a 10. And
yeah, that's why that 10 to 22 will be kind of a go-to.
Exactly. But
that lens has such small amount of distortion that the reason I know about it is I was helping people with stitching, and the distortion is a disaster if you're stitching images together, and it is so low in distortion that it was great for that. But hey, just because we need to move on, I wanted to show a quick edit. What I did was, I have all these things open. I should close them first of all because, you can't see this, right? Never mind. I'm afraid my computer is going to not keep up here. Because I have so many things running and I don't want to have crashes when I'm trying to show something. my computer is really old now, and I really am thinking about upgrading the Mac.
You're talking about what age?
About 8 or 9 years.
Okay, mine is kind of the same.
Yeah, I mean it works, but it's so full. I have so many things on it. I've installed and uninstalled, and I'm trading all these kinds of things. I do a lot of I do support work, and I have so many things running, and I'm starting to see different applications having some problems. And so, and I know it's because of my anyway. All I've done was I lost you again. Okay, it's just me for a minute. What I did. Who was asking about doing some editing? I can't. Way back in the comments, Eric or anybody else who wants to see. All I did was I took the images. I took 5 images instead of 9. So these are 5 images shot at 2 EV spacing on an old camera. This is an old shot, like a D300 years ago, I think. And I dragged them into Photomatics, which gives me this screen. It's asking me about, do I want to align the images? I'm going to choose yes on a tripod because I believe I had shot these on a beanbag. So that was on a table on a beanbag. I just happened to remember that because of where I was. And so I'm going to align them, and I'm going to choose the on tripod option. It just does a quick align. And then if show options to remove ghosts, there's nothing. Alignment is for movement of the camera. And the options to remove ghosts, that is for movement of things in the scene. So I don't need that since nothing was moving. Noise reduction and chromatic aberration. Those are done because I converted these from raw to TIFF already, so that was already done. So I just click line and merge. It's going to put them together into the 32-bit HDR file, which is just happens in the background. You don't really even need to know about that, but that's what's happening. And right now it says it's aligning the images. Juan Jose, we lost you, huh? Internet's down in Ecuador? Come on. All right, so it comes up with, oh, I'm on 2 screens, so I'm going to move this down to the screen that I'm sharing. There it is. Okay. And I can click the fit button to show that. The 2 screens is driving me a little wild here. There we go. No. The screen share on here has, sorry y'all, on my second screen was showing me a different window and I got confused. There's so many things going on. Anyway, here shows me, when this pops up, I have it set to show settings from the last time I had used Photomatics, the last time I processed something. So I'm just choosing some different presets. These are presets down here on the bottom right. It's under my presets. So they're ones that I've either created or I've downloaded from other people. And I have a lot of both. So there are tons of options here. But what I've chosen here is what I would call kind of a simple result so far. And that could be used where it looks a little bit flat. There's not a lot of pop to the image, but that's a lot of times that's preferable for me because I know I'm going to go in to do post-processing. I'm going to bump the blacks down and the whites up and add some contrast and add some very specific post-processing editing. I can also look for something. I'm going to go to the built-in presets that everyone's going to have on when you open Photomatics, and I can choose between some that are already a little more full of pop. Juan Jose's back, but I just see your cam twist right now. Popping on there. It just has the cam twist logo. But mine's going to do the same thing because my camera is going to run out of battery and I'm going to probably pop off. Okay, so all I'm saying here is under in the Photomatic step, you just to kind of decide on your workflow. If you're going for getting 99% there and you're not going to do much post-processing, you can take something that's close to the style you want. For real estate, there is a filter up here on the top right. And what I'm doing is choosing the real estate section that just filters down so that presets that are typically very good for real estate. So here's another kind of easy result. Here, I do love interior too. When you have an interior, especially when there's a window, this is kind of like a window, even though it's a porch. So here's one that gets me really close. I can add specific settings. Just because I've used a preset doesn't mean I can't go over here and play around with the sliders, of course. I'm going to turn the brightness down just a little bit. Saturation does not need to go up. So you find something that you're close to happy with. I'm going to click. I like this one. This kind of looks like the result I had before, I guess, but maybe that's because I like it. I'm going to click on the option to finish. Juan Jose, you're looking very dark over there, but that's okay. We're going to finish up with audio only. That's fine. Oh, my result, of course, comes up on the other window, as you would expect. If you want to, I have it set to not show this, but it comes up with this finishing touch window, which has some basic post-processing options. So you can crop, remove some contrast, sharpen, straighten. Straighten being for the verticals, in case you want to do that kind of editing at the end. But okay, I wanted to end here before we get to an hour and a half, and Juan Jose's back, and let's sign
guys,
up.
something was wrong with the as you mentioned, the battery of my camera were dead, and I had to change it.
Yeah, that's okay. I was just kind of doing 10 things at once trying to show something. So, but being the one kind of driving this and then doing a demo can be a few things. But yeah, let's sign off. I want to not coming in under that hour and a half this time.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for commenting. Thanks, Juan Jose, for popping on. We'll see.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, hopefully the three of us next time. If you have questions about stuff we talked about, you can shoot message at support@hdrsoft.com. If they're questions from this show or about photography, it'll probably come to me anyway.
Someday, whenever you want, we can talk about the 360 pictures and how well Photomatics manage those formats and those images.
Yeah, I just had a few shoots that were 360 walkthrough virtual tours, and I'm ready to go. I've got lots of sample material for that, and rendering panoramas and stuff, and these huge files. So I don't know if they'll be good for demo, but we'll give it a shot and can show you some workflows. We can compare workflows if you want to do that. But what else to sign off? Let me put up, you are at, you have Orbital Vision on there already, so I don't really even need to do that, but that is Juan Jose Perez, and
right.
I can't find my link to you, but you already put it up there, so here's his Instagram.
No, it should be. I mean, it's not should be. It used to be.
Oh, it's not that anymore?
I just changed it because I don't want to use my name. I want to use I prefer to use my company name, which is Orbital Vision 360.
Orbital Vision 360.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
That's right. That's the home page, but the other one with the Instagram one is Orbital Vision 360. I changed. I'm not using my name anymore.
That's backwards. Everyone's using. All of us are just using our name. I mean.
I don't know what is better, but I prefer to use my company name. I think it's more company instead of my name.
Okay, I guess that's another conversation for another time. How do you want to market yourself, right? Yeah. HDRsoft.com. You can find Photomatics, a lot of information about it, the support line. You can reach me pretty easily that way. Or unlike Juan Jose, I have that. Just
what?
RonPepper.com. I'm just decided to do one of those, like it's like a hub for just the stuff I do, whether it's photography right now, but there'll be a couple other things that I'll add up there that just shoots you off to photography sites, because you can also find me at panoramanetwork.com, which is my.
Hey, Ron, but seriously, when we are gonna talk about 360 photography? Using Photomatics Pro.
Well, okay, there we go. That's if you want to use my company name, there you go. When? Do we have to commit right now?
No, I'm just saying, like, it's something that you have in your mind, like, to do it soon, or not necessarily.
All right, 360 photography, talking about different cameras, comparing the new Macs, and I'm so nervous to do a Spanish show. I'm going to make a fool of myself.
No, I'm not saying that we have to do it that in Spanish, because we have to talk about that before. Like, we should do this for Spanish speakers audience. But I'm not saying that. I'm saying that we should talk about that specific theme sometime soon. I hope.
All right, we'll schedule it and be committed to it. Okay. Okay. Let's talk offline. Let's talk offline about it, and if anybody makes it through to this ending, thanks for showing and hanging out with us and asking questions. You can ask questions anytime, and I'll answer, or we can build it into one of these as well. Hope I got everybody's questions. Hope I didn't miss any. I was trying to keep up with the comments. I might have missed something, but have a great one, everyone, and see you on the next one.
Yeah.
Adiós.
Adiós. Chao, Ron. Que pases bien.
Tú también. Gracias.
Chao.